my name is Meredith Jones, and I'm going to be talking about wellness, which is such a broad topic. So more specifically, I'm going to be talking about brain health and and how stress affects it. I originally chose to talk about brain health and the environment, but I just figured that it was too broad. So if my outline doesn't match this, that explains why it was just too broad. This is a little bit more specific and relatable. So this is what I'm going to go with. Um, let's see. We live in a world where we're expected to do it all, especially women. We're expected to get an education, have a high-paying job, have a prestigious career while raising a family and looking attractive. We have to do everything. And the funny thing is that we put that pressure on ourselves to do it all. We have to do it, and we judge each other, and we're constantly having to up the ante with our friends, with what we see. This person has this type of house, I want a nicer one. So we do it to ourselves, and it's actually pretty unfortunate. The other thing is that we are constantly comparing ourselves to these gorgeous celebrities on all of these magazine covers who actually have teams of people to Photoshop all of their photos. Kim Kardashian actually pays one specific person $100,000 a year to Photoshop her photos that she puts on Instagram and that she puts on Facebook and on Twitter and all of those social media applications. We regular people do not have those things, so it's not fair for us to want to strive to be like those celebrities. Um, One of the most interesting things about stress is it's easier to become stressed than it is to de-stress. I used to meditate, um, and I have health problems on my own with the brain. I actually had tumors. So I decided to attempt to meditate the other day, and it didn't go very well. I actually kind of forgot how to do it. And I always tell people I have what I call mom bounce now. I have a 2.5-year-old son now, but when he was a baby, I was constantly moving, trying to soothe him. So I did this kind of bouncing movement with him to try to calm him down whenever he was upset. And now that he's a toddler, I don't have to do that anymore, but I'm still constantly doing the mom bounce. And I can't seem to stop. Um, Everyone has a certain amount of stress in their lives, and the reason I chose this topic is because it's so incredibly relatable, because everyone knows what it's like to be stressed. And there's a major correlation between stress, and other issues of wellness in life. Those issues stem from the mental and emotional effects stress has on the brain as well. It's kind of like a domino effect. Um, that's one of the biggest things I actually learned in this class was how the 8 dimensions of wellness are like a house of cards. If one is out of place, the rest seem to be too. Um, and really, if any dimension is not going well, it causes stress, and stress causes those in turn as well. That will negatively affect the brain and domino into other dimensions if it's not taken care of properly. And currently, there are so many different resources to help achieve wellness. We have technologies, therapies, spas, gym, people who are life coaches, and of course, we have doctors. Um, there are certain type of apps as well to help people de-stress. We have apps for white noise, where you actually have to wear headphones and they play these sounds for you, and it's supposed to help your brain calm down so you can sleep a little bit more easily. Um, Technology.com came out with an article for the best de-stressing apps of 2015, and among them, they have apps to help budget money. Breathe to Relax is another one that helps with deep breathing. It kind of helps you meditate. Um, and since sleeping is proven to help with stress, Sleepbot is another app to track sleep cycles. I, on my smartphone, decided to type in a search for looking for an app to help with sleep. And these are all of the apps that I came up with. They're endless. Some you have to pay for and some you really don't have to. Even the ones that you don't have to pay for seem to be pretty good. Um, while I agree that technology can help in de-stressing and giving us tools to de-stress, I think relying on it too much can actually end up being an added stressor. Technology is so much of what causes stress. Having to text, answer phone calls, emails, and even keep up with social media, which is supposed to be fun, can be a stressor. It's more of an obligatory thing than it is fun now, unfortunately. Um, I always tell people I feel so liberated when I leave my cell phone at home sometimes, as long as it's only for a couple of hours, because I just feel free. I don't have to constantly look down at my phone, and sometimes I do it without even realizing that I'm doing it. Um, Using a phone, I think there are certain ways to use technology responsibly and certain ways to use it not responsibly. So using a phone, something that's constantly on you like an appendage, not the right way. It causes more stress. But using it for things like reading to de-stress and listen to music and other things that don't require communication with others, and that obligatory feeling is a much better way of using it. Um, you want to kind of use certain programs and activities that will shut down your brain more than making you think more than you already have to. Another main stressor is the financial stressor, which is also one of the 8 dimensions of wellness. It's the leading cause of divorce, actually, and it's a major issue in our economy. Prolonged stress not only causes emotional issues, but it can cause physical and medical issues as well. Um, Stress is known to cause high blood pressure, elevated cortisol levels, which actually causes increased fat percentages in the body, and that leads to a whole slew of other problems as well. Um, the interesting thing about stress is it can actually change the structure of the brain. According to myamazingbrain.com, the cortisol released in stress travels into the brain and binds the receptors inside many neurons in the cytoplasm. And through a cascade of reactions, this causes neurons to emit more calcium through channels in their membrane. So clearly, stress interferes with the physical part of the brain and the structural part. And it's also known to cause depression, which also dominoes into some other of the 8 dimensions of wellness. It can cause lack of socializing and isolation, and in turn, this can affect our feeling of purpose in life and our sense of spirituality. I saw something interesting yesterday on the news. Um, Speaking of technology and how it helps us cope with stress, there are these new kind of spas that were developed, and I decided to do a search on Google earlier today, and I found on eastcoastfloat.com. It's a site for one of these locations that has floating pods, where you float in a small tank of water, and it's meant to reduce stress. And they claim that it reduces inflammation, joint, muscle, and tissue pain. It lowers blood pressure, improves recovery time, and replenishes your body. And 1 hour can even provide the benefits of 4 hours of sleep, which is incredible if this is in fact true. And it can detoxify and soothe your body from 1,000 pounds of Epsom salts. Um, I thought that this was pretty cool and related because it's kind of like a modern twist on Western medicine. According to NPR.com, Western medicine looked to meditation to help the body stay in the moment. So instead of thinking about certain thoughts that lead to anxiety and stressful feelings, it helps you stay in the moment and not even have those thoughts, which leads to those stressful feelings. A huge way that societies differ in their views as far as wellness and the elderly is that Asian cultures tend to look at their elderly with a little bit more respect. The older you get, the more respect you earn just with your age. American culture isn't quite the same. We don't take care of our elderly in the same way. We send them to nursing homes where sometimes they are left to sit in chairs for a very long time. It's actually really sad. That's why going to nursing homes is usually not a thing that people look forward to. So people look at age as something that's another stressor in life. Because again, it leads to the other 8 dimensions of wellness that you have to think of. Financially, the elderly in this country aren't doing very well. They have to worry about where their food is coming from. Their medication costs are out of control, and they have their Social Security to rely on, which really isn't that great. We view getting older as a horrible and scary thing, and because of that, getting older is another stressor, which again, so many of the other dimensions of wellness are affected because of that fear of aging. So, in conclusion, stress affects the brain incredibly negatively, and because of that, there's this sort of domino effect among the 8 dimensions of wellness that impact a person's life. And while we have resources like modern technology to help we must make sure that we use those resources responsibly in order to lessen our daily stressors and not make those resources an obligatory thing. So we want to make sure that we think a little bit less, and again, use those resources responsibly. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.